Welcome back to another episode of Shutter Saturday, and today on this episode of Shutter Saturday I'm going to be talking about a film that was written and directed in 1983. It is a slasher film, and it was written and directed by David A. Pryor, and the film I'm talking about today is called Sledgehammer. And yeah, normally when I talk about Shutter movies on Saturdays, they're usually original Shutter films. However, this one is not an original Shutter film, but it is streaming right now on the Shutter channel. If you're into indie slasher films or you're an inspiring filmmaker, this movie you should definitely check out. This film was shot all on videotape and had a minimal cast and crew, and the cast that are in this movie are friends and family, and it was only shot at 1 or 2 locations. Honestly, I think this film should be shown in film schools all around the world, because this film kind of gives you what the do's and don'ts, what to do in when you're making your own movie. This film kind of gives you an outline on how to make a decent horror film and give you the basic needs of what you need to make the film. You need a camera, small cast, small crew, location, and maybe some makeup effects people. The movie Sledgehammer has a typical outline that we've seen before. It's very familiar. The movie starts off with a neglected child, and his mother is not really paying attention to him, and she's more interested in her boyfriend that's in the other room. However, the neglected child, and probably mentally abused by the mother, goes on a murderous rampage inside the house. We cut to years later, and the house is now being rented out by a group of kids that are wanting to spend the weekend there. Now, what slasher movies does this sound like? The film definitely has some very memorable slasher elements from other films. For being such a low-budget film, the movie does pretty well as far as keeping you interested into what's going on in the film. Since everything is basically taking place at one location, characters are sitting in one room and walk off into another room, and basically they get killed off. And just when you're watching the film and you take a look at the antagonist, makes me wonder if other icons later on in the years were actually kind of influenced by the movie Sledgehammer. And kind of just when you think the movie's going in one typical slasher direction, the film manages to introduce something new. The film manages to go Twin Peaks, and it doesn't do it wrong. It manages to introduce other dimensions. Like I said though, this movie is very low budget, but it manages to do all this, which is story and a couple locations. With all that being said, this movie is far from perfect. We have establishing shots that take way too long to establish. We also have weird cuts here and there. We have some bad acting. However, we got some great special effects for being such a low-budget movie. We got a movie with a pretty decent story and manages to introduce something different. Also, this movie, like I said, should be shown to filmmakers, especially filmmakers that want to make a horror movie, because this movie shows you how to do it with almost no budget. So I would definitely check out Sledgehammer on the Shutter channel. And honestly, if this movie was remade the exact same way with just a little more production value, I think this movie would probably be more of a classic. So definitely check out Sledgehammer on the Shutter channel. Well, hopefully you like what you see here. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'm Mike the Movie Misfit, and I'll see you at the movies.
Get more out of life. Go out to a movie.